Afternoon, lovely people. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. Actually, I need those up at the other end of the bed. I'm having a break from digging. I'll be honest, I am struggling a bit with the garden this year. A bit. I'm trying not to freak out, but I'm struggling, and because of that I'm getting a little bit behind. I'll show and explain a bit more when I show you those beds another day. I've been doing the 2 potato beds, and they're the worst beds in the whole garden. They've had the least compost and organic matter over the years. They're in the wettest part of the garden. I didn't get them covered this winter. That's my fault. But yeah, they've been a bit tricky. So, I was getting into quite a lot of pain, not a pity party, just an explanation. So I said, right, that's it. Abandon the garden for a few days. Get home, work on other stuff, which I've been doing. Just cutting and cutting fabric, getting new things in the shop. Anyway, I knew I had to get back to the garden and just face it head on. So apart from anything, I needed to get a bit of water on a few things because we've been bone dry. Really, I need to start working. We've been so dry since, well, the whole of April really has been dry. We've had a couple of little spitty spotty showers that have lasted, 5 minutes. But otherwise, yeah, really very dry. Now for established plants like the broad beans, and when I say established, I mean when their roots are good and established, so they can reach down for the water, I'm not worried about them, but I've got things in pots. They needed watering, so I thought, you know what, I have to get back down today to do some watering anyway. And I thought, because I could feel my heart sinking at the prospect of coming here, I thought, right, okay, I do need to do a bit more prep on those potato beds. I can't believe it's the end of April, I don't have my potatoes in. I was looking at notes the other day to try and reassure myself, and there have been a couple of years when one year I got them in on May the 1st, another year where I got them in on May the 15th. That was the year I'd broken both my wrists. So it's quite late to get the potatoes in, but it's not too late. So yeah, trying to reassure myself. So I will be doing a bit of more work on those beds today. But on top of that, as a sort of an encouragement for me to get here today, I'm just going to do a load of little odd jobs. They're not all sit-down jobs, not by any means, but they're not digging. That's the main thing. So the first job, well, apart from I've done all the watering, that was really important. So the first job now is to re-string the broad beans. I was so proud of myself this year for being on it really early, before they'd really kind of got going. It was about the beginning of April. Took the covers off, got some good sturdy stakes in that will stand up, got it all stringed up, supports all ready for them, brilliant. And then the foxes have come along and they've chewed through all the strings, so there's no support now, apart from this one at the top, which is the old seam from my old duvet cover. They couldn't chew through that. So yeah, first job of the day, re-string all these, because they do get floppy and heavy, and I want to be careful not to crush any. I am on quite a windy site. So it is worth it, just to a little bit of looking after. And to keep them off the grass paths so I don't strim them. Oh, that string snapped. Oh no. Oh, roll of string and it snapped. Ah. It would be lovely. It would be so lovely at some point. This would be the ideal. Sometime in July, August, when everything's seeded and planted and supported and tied in, and we've had enough rain so I don't have to lug watering cans around. It'd be lovely to have just one day in this garden that wasn't hard work. Oh my goodness. Right, this is going to take me a little while, and it will be incredibly boring to watch, so I shall get on with this on my own and see you in a few minutes for, oh, I know what the next job is, and it'll involve the watering cans again, so I'll see you further up the garden in just a couple of seconds of your time. Phewie, time for a little breather, a little gentle job. So all the broad beans are strung again, yay! I hope, oh, big crow. I hope the foxes will behave and leave that bit of string alone. I've used green string, hoping it'll be a bit invisible to them. I doubt it. And then I have just done some more rhubarb harvesting. Partly because it's ready and it's yummy and I want to take it home. Brilliant. But also, and it reminded me to come and have a look at this one. Oh, let's do this piece first. If you remember, behind the rhubarb that's next to my compost bins, there's the little climbing rose and honeysuckle. I put those sticks in for them. I never did get round to tying them in, so put my string on. So I've just tied those in. Before I've come to tie these in, this is why I need a breather. I've just had another go at the potato beds. It's 2 beds, and I'm nearly there with them. Oh, good grief! It's taken long enough. I think I'm at the stage where I'm not going to do them today, but I think maybe tomorrow I can rake out the trenches. Now, I know some people are probably immediately thinking, I'm not going to talk about no dig and why I don't do it today, but folk are probably thinking, why don't you do them in your potatoes in containers? It's too expensive. The cost of the compost. I did try it one year, a couple of years ago, and I basically asked, oh, have I cut that too short? I've forgotten the shed post is quite thick. Yeah, I think it was, I spent £5 on the compost in the end, and I harvested about maybe £2.50's worth of potatoes. It's not worth it. And also, I've got nowhere to put a load of containers, because that little deck area, there's not enough space on there for 32 containers of spuds. And I don't want to fill it with spuds. I like having my little bits and bobs of plants there. I like having my deck chair there. Deck chair's coming out this summer. It has to happen. Anyway, so I've done the spud beds as best I can for today. And so now I'm going to go, well, I've just finished this fiddliness, and then I'm going to have a sit down for 5 minutes and then take us all back to the top of the garden, as I was mentioning, and do something up there. This honeysuckle, it seems really happy. Are you happy? This was a cutting that I took in September 2020, and then they all got planted up in 2021. I can't remember which month I planted them up. I've got a feeling it was around this time, maybe May. So yeah, it's very happy. once it gets to the eaves of the shed, I won't let it get any higher because I don't want it all over the shed. Oh, this shed. Oh, the roof, I need to do the roof, I need to paint it. I'm not even going to think about that today. I'm going to tackle the rows that's further down as well, and then let's go to the top of the garden after a quick sit down. Oh, it's beautiful when the sun comes out. Yeah, these are my spud beds that I'm battling with, but they're nearly there. Hopefully, like I said, tomorrow I can make trenches. Not sort of traditional trenches, but just scrape. Anyway, that's for tomorrow. But I just thought before we go to the top of the garden, I'll show you here on the end of the cold frame. Got my lovely big rosemary. The flowers are going over now, but oh, it's been beautiful and just buzzing constantly with bees. But where I took out the Cove Trontuda, I've got a new plant, and this should eventually fill this whole little area. It's an agapanthus, or as many of us like to say, it's Agatha's pants. I'm so pleased with this. It's actually a division from a friend's clump. She had a massive clump, and actually she made so many divisions. I think, I don't know, 5 or 6 of us got a little piece, which is it's so lovely. And that was another reason I wanted to come down today as well in terms of watering, to give this a good soak. Now, when it's established, I wouldn't give it anything nearly like this big of a soak because, long roots, and also it grows in arid places. I think it originates from South Africa, so it really doesn't need this kind of level of watering, but because it's a division, just while it gets established, it's going to have some water. That's another job to do today, to come on to shortly, is empty the cold frame. But first of all, there's a job to do. Well, you can see my orange trug is in place, ready. So let's go on up and get stuck into the next job. Oh, yay! Shoots. Noisy crows. Right. Onions were planted 1 week ago. They're shooting. Yay! But the job for today is to get them mulched. Oh, blah. I was mentioning in another video how we'd had our work party, and I normally do a load of mowing. On that occasion I didn't. My back and my legs objected to pushing the mower. But I did go around afterwards raking up as much of the clippings as I could. Oh la la. So they will work great as a mulch, but there's no point in mulching the ground as it is because it's really dry. There is moisture down there, about sort of 10 centimetres down there is moisture, but of course the onions have only just gone in. They've got the tiniest little roots at the moment. Those roots aren't going anywhere near that water. So I'm going to give it a really thorough soaking, then get it mulched, and I probably put the covers back on just until they get a bit more established, because the shoots, they're only about 1 inch to 2 inches. Oh, is that a lily beetle? Yeah. Hello, lovely. That's quite fortunate. As I was bending down to pick up the watering can, I saw a lily beetle. I've squished it. The great thing about lily beetles is they're bright red. so they show up really easily against that beautiful limey glossy green of the newly coming lily leaves. So yeah, heads up everyone, the lily beetles are out. While I'm here as well, I'm going to pull out, there's a couple of little weeds that have popped up, so obviously I'm going to pull them out while I'm in here today. Another parsnip. Nice gentle work. I've just realised what's popping up, of course. Where did I see it? I'll show you. Oh, yeah. There will be a lot. These are the beginnings of calendula seedlings, of course. Last year that was the parsnip and calendula bed, so they've self-seeded. They do, every year they self-seed all over. If they're in the way, I simply pull them out. If they're not in the way, I leave them be. With onions hate to compete with anything, whether it's weeds or little self-seeded flower, so yeah, they will come out. It's going to take me a while to get on with this, so I don't think I'll keep you waiting. I might just, hang on, I'm going to bring you in a bit closer so you can see the sort of the growth in the last week. So you can see they are shooting away nicely. I'm very happy with this site so far. You know, I didn't put any of the shooted ones in. Those shooted ones, I've got an idea of where else to put those, but it looks like most of them have got a bit of green coming on them already. Yay, great bug. I think that's another parsnip. Sorry, down there. I'll get my trowel to get that out. Yes, so soak them, mulch them, and pop the covers back on purely because they're still really little and they'll be easily pulled out because they won't have really good roots yet. But isn't this a pretty sight as well? Let me show you just at the top of the garden. I love this combination of, obviously the tulips have gone over, I need to nip the heads off, but the lovely, cheerful, so cheerful, the poached eggplants. That's the Limnanthes douglasii, along with the lovely, beautiful blue of the forget-me-nots. Oh, they're adorable. And then this has appeared. Aren't you pretty? Don't know what you are. It almost looks like, I thought it was vaguely iris-like and vaguely vetch-like. Oh, happy. I do love. This is such a gloriously happy sight at this time of year. Right, shut up, Vivi. I've got 2 beds to do with this mulch. So that the pile of clippings, you can see I did manage to actually get quite a lot raked up. I thought it was going to kill me, but it was worth it. So I've divided it. So I've got a bit for the onions, the white onions, and a bit for the red. And I also, I won't show you at the moment, it's too much stuff to climb over. I also added some more to the garlic, which are just round there behind the purple sprouting broccoli, which really need to come out, but that can be another day. Right, let's chat, more work. Let me crack on and get this job done. And then, what's the next job? Oh, I know. Yay, I'm quite excited. I'll see you after I've done this, back down towards the deck. We're all over the place today. Bit of an effort. Wood chips. More like, I don't know, it's like shredded foliage. But I've overfilled my barrow. I only wanted to make one trip, so I think smells really piney, eucalyptusy. I'll put it in the chocolate and make it a bit more manageable. And first off, it's the season for mulching, isn't it? I'm going to get a load on this Agatha's pants again. You know, I think I'm going to give it one more soaking. I've got a can of water over here. Yeah, I think it'll enjoy another really good dousing. If I put this mulch on and lock this moisture in. The whole point of today was supposed to be gentler jobs instead of digging. It's turned out to be it's turned out to be quite a physical day. And then I'm going to take you down here. I'm going to reposition you for now over there, and then we're going to get stuck in next to the deck. But I'll just get this area quickly mulched, and then we can move down there. Oh. So I wanted to give this little area a bit of attention today too. Actually, I'm going to take the rose off. It doesn't need it, because what I found when I was planting the honeysuckle and the rose, can you see them today? I've done a load of harvesting of the rhubarb, and I've sort of held the rhubarb leaves up for a minute. Yeah, when I was planting them last year, it was apparent that it was really, really, really dry down there at the back of the shed. Not back of the shed, back of the fence. So I'm going to give more a really good dousing today. And at the front, can you see? I don't know. Can you see that? Oh my goodness! You can't see that, and you can't. You're just seeing in the middle. Sorry, folks. But let me bring you. Oh, I've got grass in my rose, down and close, so that you can hopefully see what I'm up to. I could do with a camera person. Hang on. That's a bit better, I hope. So, at the back, I've got the honeysuckle and the rose. This is the Verbena bonariensis. And then here, coming up, are the crocosmia. And they were little spare corms. Well, it was sort of... Catherine was hacking her patch to pieces because it had gotten really huge. Divvied them out and gave a few to me, some to Gary, other folk. So I planted them last year. It's just showing. It's they're actually in a pot, in a plastic pot that I've sunk, because I do want some here, but I don't want them to completely take over. So I'm hoping that being in that pot will help to contain them a bit. But the idea is, I can't remember which of the crocosmia it is. I've got a feeling it's Lucifer. It's that sort of deep, reddy orange. And what I would love eventually is, let's go the beam a bit, that I'll have this gorgeous deep reddish orange of the crocosmia against the purple of the verbena, and it will look absolutely fabulous if that works. And the last little bit to the rhubarb. I mean, all of these plants seem to have done okay without me watering previously, but yeah, as I'm mulching today, I might as well. So yeah, just chucking it on. And the thing is, with mulching with the bark or the wood chip, I wouldn't do this on my vegetable beds because I don't want to dig it in as I change things next season, because once this goes into the ground, it will actually sort of lock up nitrogen while it's decomposing, and I don't want that for my veggies. But of course this bed is permanent planting, so I won't be going in here and digging any of it out anytime soon. So it's fine to mulch. I'm just going to lob it. I can't reach in there. I'll lob it in and then give it a shake down later. Got more of it on my fence than anywhere. Not a good idea, Vivi. Right, I'll give it a little settle down and then think about what the next job to do is. But yeah, it makes it look a bit tidier as well, doesn't it? Oh, come on, Crocosmia, please grow this year. I really hope they do. And rose and honeysuckle. Woo! Now, where's that leaf I have my eye on? I've harvested loads. Actually, I'm not going to harvest any more today. I've harvested quite a lot. Leave it to get some strength back. Oh, no, they can wait. It's all the water bottles that I bury alongside my squash plants. So, if that's the level of the soil, and here's the squash plant's roots, when I plant the squash plant, plant a water bottle like that, so as the water comes in, comes out here, right where the roots are. Yay! Gradually get the cold frame cleared out in the next couple of days because I need to start sowing some seeds and I need it. Right, now let's go over there to that squash bed and get that cardboard sorted out. I need this sit down. I've been ant bitten today. Ants seem to, I forgot, I'm supposed to be bringing some bicarb down, it doesn't matter. Ants seem to love making their nests under my bricks, the bricks I use for weighing things down. And so, what I didn't show you just now, because suddenly there was like loads of traffic on my path. Oi, get off my land! Basically, I took the cardboard out of the cold frame and I took it over to one of the squash beds because I'd stuck my trowel in. It's one of the beds that's got a load of horse poo on the top. Stuck my trowel in. It's really quite moist once you get down there. In a way, the horse poo's acted like a mulch. So what I want to do is, yeah, goodness knows, are we going to have a drought year again or are we going to have a wet year? We just don't know. So I like to think, let's prepare for drought, because is that worse than a really wet year? Anyway, prepare for drought. So with that cardboard, I've basically opened it up, spread it out on top of that squash bed. That will have my horizontal squash in it. So, you know, the cardboard, yeah, it looks a bit ugly, but it's one of those things, isn't it? It's about, this garden is all about the food production. And hopefully my enjoyment on top too, but it's not necessarily about being a pretty garden. I love a pretty garden. It's a working garden. It's a farm. It's my little farm. So, but the cardboard will break down naturally. As it's sitting there through the summer, it'll help to suppress any weeds. The foliage of the squash will eventually cover it so we won't even see it. Great. So it's acting as a mulch, as a weed suppressant, and it'll eventually just break down and be incorporated into the soil. Fab. So that's done. I've done all sorts of little odds and sods today, but it's amazing how I was thinking about this when I was barrowing the wood chips, some like foliage chips, back to my garden. The chip pile is right at the far end of our site. You know, in a way I'm lucky. I'm where my plot is, I'm pretty much slap bang in the middle of the site, and we've got two gates, and the horse poo comes to this one and the wood chips come to this one, so I'm sort of halfway to both. the people who have plots here, I always think, oh, you jammy so-and-so's for the horse mark, you're right there. But of course, for the chips, they have to go all the way. Anyway, I digress. As I was walking back from the wood chip pile with my barrow full of wood chips, I was thinking, you know what? There aren't actually that many jobs in the garden which are sit-down jobs, are there? Weeding. Oh yeah, I'll do a little bit more weeding in the coming days. So yeah, I'm kind of wrapping up now. I'm wrapping up with you. I'm wrapping up with my efforts in the garden. What time is it? Oh my goodness, it's getting on for, it'll be coming up for 6 o'clock soon. I kind of had a feeling it must be, because suddenly there are people around, and I think folk are coming to the garden on their way home from work. So I'm really glad I got myriad little jobs done today. They're little jobs, but some of them are a bit harumphy, whatever. But I'm really glad because two things. One, the promise of doing the little jobs got me down here today at all. I just wasn't fancying it at all. I'm dreading the potato beds, but I've had a go at them today. It was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be, and all I need to do now is rake up my mounds, so I've got some depth to plant into. I'll do that tomorrow. Great. So I'm glad from that point of view. I'm glad because I needed to water a few things. I'm glad because those broad beans, we have been having quite strong winds again recently. So they're all, they're secure. If the wind comes, they will move around a bit within the enclosure, as it were. But yeah, they're looked after. Mulching the onions, I'm glad to do that. Let's do everything we can to keep that moisture in our soil and stop it evaporating. Give our plants that moisture they need. And also give ourselves that kind of break from having to water every single day, because it just becomes too much. So, this is my long roundabout way of saying, because I know there's been quite a few of you have said you feel a bit behind this year. Life has happened, life does happen, doesn't it? Yeah, we can still do it. We can still do it. Sometimes we just have to force ourselves out of the front door, though, don't we? We have to force ourselves to get here. I think if you're... I'm really itching. I've got pesky little perishers. Yeah, I think on days like that, when you're having to really force yourself because for example, you've got that bed to do that's really, really weedy and you've been putting off, try and maybe think about 2 jobs to do that day. One is that horrible bed that you're dreading, and 2, try and think of a nice kind of sort of tinkering job, if you like, a more tinkery, easier job. So like doing the broad bean tying or doing the wood chip spreading. Okay, it took a bit of effort to barrow it, but then putting it around the plant, it's nice because you're like really close up with your soil and your plants, and it's kind of like an immediate, what was that? The noises. It's like it has an immediate impact. It immediately looks better. So yeah, try and do that if you're struggling. Tackle the job that you're really wanting to put off, but tackle it first. Tackle the put off first, and then reward yourself with, a nice little job. Or reward yourself quite simply by sitting outside your shed waving at people, which is what I'm going to do for half an hour now. I'm just going to sit for half an hour, let my knees rest a little bit before I head home. But yeah, good stuff. So I think we're right towards the end of the month. I don't think there'll be another garden video before the end of the month. I think realistically what I'm going to do now is there's only a couple of days left this month now, have a couple more days down here, but just on my own, just doing bed prep. You don't need to see that. And then the next time we're in the garden, it'll be the monthly tour. And these ants have, oh my god, they've done me up like a kipper. So I'm going to do the May tour. I'm going to try and get it done on the 1st, at least the 1st or 2nd of May. It might not be the 1st of May because that's Sunday and it's generally really busy here on a Sunday. I'm going to try and get it done right at the beginning of the month again, get back onto that schedule that I always used to have of doing the monthly tour right at the beginning of the month. So I'm telling you now, it's not where I had planned for the garden to be at, but then I didn't plan to have 4 weeks off because of my stupid back. And it will only have been 3 weeks since the last tour, so it's like, you know, how much can I do in 3 weeks? Well, we'll find out, won't we? So I'll see you in the garden again in May. And in the meantime, I'll see you in a few days as I round up my thoughts for this month 60. So I'll see you then. But until then, please look after yourselves. Force yourself out at the front door and into your garden. Think about things that reward you. That Tinker Time thing. You know what? If your reward is a little bar of chocolate, you know, so be it. Maybe do that. Maybe say, I'm not allowed to ever eat chocolate again until that bed's done. Or, you know, especially if it's a nice warm day that day and your friends are around, say to yourself, right, I'm going to reward myself with a bottle of beer. That's what I should do. It's like, do a bed, bottle of beer. Do a bed, bottle of beer. Hang on, how many beds have I got left to do? What was it the other day? I said 12? 12 beds, 12 bottles of beer, but it wouldn't all be in one day, of course. Anyway, whichever way you find to do it, find a way and get on with it. We can do it. We absolutely flipping well can do it. Cheerio, lovelies. Until next time.